Mike is not in Lake Seminole. He did not drown.
The chances of Mike being found alive was unlikely. After reading it, she knew the story didn't add up.
He was in the water, and as I passed by, I shot him.
Jerry Michael Mike Williams was born on October 16, 1969 in Florida. Known as a devoted husband and father, Mike loved outdoor activities, particularly duck hunting. He enjoyed spending time with his family and friends, and he was often described as easygoing and friendly. However, on December 16, 2000, his life and the lives of those who loved him would take a tragic turn.
Today was the couple's 6th wedding anniversary, and they'd made big plans to celebrate, so why he hadn't come home was a mystery. Brian Winchester and Denise's father drove down to the lake. 12 hours later, at 2:30 a.m, they found Mike's Ford Bronco near a remote boat launch. They discovered his boat in the dark, swampy, shallow water. Inside was his shotgun and 2 life jackets. The engine wasn't running, but the boat was still full of gas, and Mike was nowhere. The helicopter was deployed, and divers started looking into the water. After a few days, it was becoming clear that the chances of Mike being found alive was unlikely. Authorities felt strongly that this was simply a tragic boating accident.
On that fateful day, Mike set out for a hunting trip at Lake Seminole, a popular spot for outdoor enthusiasts. He planned to enjoy a day of hunting with friends, but as the hours passed without his return, concern began to mount. When he failed to show up, friends reported him missing, launching a search that would garner significant attention. The investigation began with the discovery of Mike's abandoned boat on the lake. This led investigators to believe he had fallen overboard after a collision. Search efforts were extensive. Local authorities, volunteers, and even divers scoured the waters, but despite their thoroughness, no trace of Mike was found for months. His waders and a jacket containing his hunting license were eventually recovered, but they provided little closure. Authorities concluded that Mike had likely drowned, attributing his disappearance to a tragic accident. However, the narrative didn't sit right with everyone. Mike's mother, Cheryl Williams, was particularly unconvinced. She had a strong sense that something more sinister had occurred. Cheryl spent years urging law enforcement to reopen the case, convinced that foul play was involved. Her determination was fueled not just by a mother's intuition, but by a growing list of inconsistencies and unanswered questions surrounding Mike's disappearance. In 2004, after years of persistence, Cheryl's efforts led to a review of the case by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. However, investigators found no new evidence. Many continued to believe Mike had drowned, but Cheryl was relentless. She wrote countless letters to state officials, asking for further investigation into her son's disappearance. "Someone knows something," she would often say. "I won't stop until I find out what happened to my son."
And all of a sudden, a voice comes in my head. Mike is not in Lake Seminole. He did not drown.
9 months later, Cheryl got the local paper to write about the disappearance. Denise was livid.
She might as well have waved a red flag in front of a bull. I knew that she knew where he was or what happened to him.
Cheryl had no idea this was the case and refused to believe it was. But Denise was having none of it. According to Cheryl, Denise told her that if she did anything to open a criminal investigation, she would lose any access to her granddaughter. For someone who had already lost her husband and son, the thought of losing her granddaughter was too painful. But she needed answers and decided to carry on, resulting in Mike's case being reopened. In 2005, everyone in the community and those who had been following the case since the start started talking. Denise Williams and Brian Winchester got married. Needless to say, most were a little shocked. Some, however, had been hearing rumours of an affair between the pair for years, and Brian's divorce from Kathy and subsequent proposal to Denise had come as no surprise to them. Brian's ex-wife Kathy corroborated the affair allegations, saying she knew something was going on between her ex-husband and Denise for years. A year later, Mike's case would hit the media once again. Jennifer Portman, the news director of the Tallahassee Democrat, saw an article sent in by Cheryl. After reading it, she knew the story didn't add up, and his story needed more attention. She began running many a story on Mike, documenting everything, hoping to put his case back on the map. In 2008, law enforcement announced they had started looking into this as being a case of foul play. As the years continued to tick by, and with Mike still missing, Cheryl was working hard too. In 2011, she held a vigil for her son. It was just her, carrying a couple of signs, walking up and down the street for Mike.
Despite her efforts, the case remained cold and frustration grew. Many in law enforcement, initially supportive of Cheryl's quest for answers, began to feel alienated by her constant push for a reopening of the investigation. Yet, Cheryl remained undeterred, believing that justice for Mike was worth any obstacles she faced. In 2016, the case took an unexpected turn when Brian Winchester, Mike's friend and Denise Mike's widow, was arrested for kidnapping Denise during a domestic dispute. This incident prompted authorities to revisit Mike's case, as Winchester's arrest raised suspicions and questions about his relationship with both Mike and Denise.
Denise and Brian Winchester's marriage started to fall apart. The couple separated in 2012, before divorcing in 2016. The split had very quickly turned sour, and this would spark a change in Brian. He broke into the back of Denise's car, and when she got in, he held her at gunpoint. As soon as he jumped out of the car, she went straight to the police and reported him for armed kidnap.
We're almost in the 4th year of our separation and divorce. Another divorce date is looming Wednesday. I'll just tell you about what happened today. Okay. So I go out to my car to go to work. I work at FSU. I was calling my sister, and this person starts climbing out of the very back, and I couldn't tell at first who it was, but then immediately I knew who it was. But I was screaming. He, was up and grabbing me, and he pulled my face pretty hard, and he goes, he's cussing, you will turn here, you will turn here, and he pulled out a gun, like a gun, not a hunting gun, but like a gun that he would kill someone with, and he put it right here in my ribs. So he was in the back, I guess, hiding, and then when he came out, he came up to right behind me. So like I'm driving, and he's right here. So the gun stayed there the whole time. He finally had let go of the seat, so I was still buckled in, but I was turning, and I was like, what do you want to talk about? So then he was like, you won't answer my text, I had to do this because you won't answer my text or my calls. Please just call the divorce off. I've lost everything, blah, blah, blah. So I ended up, we were probably there, for like, it felt, maybe 45 minutes to an hour. So if their cameras do work, they'll see the whole thing. I would cry some and cry not. It was raining, people would come and go. But I ended up, of course, at the beginning, especially, he was crazed. And then as we were talking, I was just kind of agreeing with whatever he was saying. And I was like, I know that you love me. And he's recently lost his son. His son has decided to move in with, he had joint custody and now he doesn't. And so he said, I've lost my son, I lost you, I have nothing to live for. And I was like, well, Brian, you're the only one who can change. So I just kept saying, you've got to stop living that way. You've got, you could get us all back if you'll just turn your life around, because he was a Christian at one point. And I was like, if you'll just turn back to the Lord. So the whole time I'm turned this way, I'm buckled in, but he's calming down. And so, but the gun's still right there, and I'm just like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And he's like, what am I doing? I could tell he was, and I was like, I don't know. I know you want to talk to me, but this is not the way to do it. I know. What have I done? It's like he kind of woke up.
We'll do the injunction. That's the first step, I think. It's a restraining order.
Okay.
It's going to keep him from, if he calls you, once you submit that paperwork, that's a violation.
Okay.
And we're going to follow up on that, okay? So we'll do what we can. It's, a lot of times people think that, it's just a piece of paper. Is it really going to protect me? But it really can work to protect you. And I suggest that. I think we should go there. Like I said, we'll have to do certain things here.
Yeah.
It does. It really will work to protect you.
As the interview progressed, the officer saw the issues between the couple. and decided to use this as a way to bring up Mike's case.
As investigators dug deeper, they uncovered shocking details. During the investigation, it emerged that Brian had confessed to shooting Mike at Denise's request. The plan had been to stage a boating accident, but things had gone horribly wrong. This confession shifted the narrative from one of accidental drowning to a chilling tale of conspiracy and betrayal. "I was in a panic," Brian confessed during questioning. He was in a panic too. The weight of his words hinted at the gravity of their actions and the profound betrayal involved.
Denise, because of the way she was raised, because of her pride, I guess I can't say all the reasons, but she did not want to get divorced. But she still had a desire for us to be together, which narrowed the options. Another scenario that we came up with was Mike and I going on a hunting trip together, and there being an accident where both he and I ended up in the water, and he drowned and I did not. I had told him that we were going to go to a secret special spot to go hunting, and that he needed to bring his waders. I had to make sure that he brought his waders because the belief was there was kind of like there still is probably like a duck hunter's myth that if you fall overboard with your waders, you're going to sink really quick and drown.
But the murder didn't go as planned, and Winchester confessed to shooting Mike in the face.
We got to that area that I knew was a deep area, basically stopped the boat and got him to stand up, and when he did, I pushed him into the water. I didn't know if he was trying to swim or I didn't know what was going on, but what I came to find out or eventually realized was he was taking the waders and the jacket off. And he was panicking, and I was panicking, and none of this was like going how I thought it was going to go. So I loaded my gun, and I made 1 or 2 circles around, and I ended up circling closer towards him, and he was in the water, and as I passed by, I shot him.
In May 2018, Denise Williams was arrested and charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and being an accessory after the fact. The trial that followed drew significant media attention and public interest as details of the case continued to unfold. Prosecutors presented a compelling case, suggesting that Denise stood to gain a substantial life insurance payout from Mike's death. The financial motive was clear, and the timeline of events raised more than a few eyebrows. Witness testimonies painted a picture of a couple desperate to escape their current lives at any cost. During the trial, Brian took the stand, recounting the events leading up to Mike's murder. He explained how the plan was orchestrated and what had transpired on that fateful day. His testimony was pivotal, providing the jury with a first-hand account of the betrayal and the grim reality of the situation. Denise's defense team, however, argued that there was no direct evidence linking her to Mike's murder. They contended that she was not responsible for his death and that the prosecution's case relied heavily on circumstantial evidence. The defense sought to portray Denise as a victim of circumstance, caught in a web woven by others. After several days of deliberation, the jury reached a verdict. On December 14, 2018, Denise was found guilty of first-degree murder. The news reverberated through the courtroom, leaving many with a mix of relief and disbelief. In January 2019, Denise was sentenced to life in prison, marking a significant moment in the pursuit of justice for Mike Williams.
Based upon the jury verdict in this case, Ms. Williams, I do adjudicate you guilty of counts 1 and 2. On count 1, I sentence you to 30 years Department of Corrections. On count 2, I sentence you to life in prison. Those sentences run concurrently, give you credit of 275 days against each sentence. Be $2,100 fine, $105 surcharge $420 cost, $100 cost of prosecution.
Yet, the legal battles didn't end there. In 2020, an appellate court overturned her murder conviction, but upheld her conspiracy conviction. Denise was ultimately sentenced to 30 years in prison for her role in the conspiracy to murder Mike. This decision highlighted the complexities of the case and the legal challenges that often accompany high-profile trials. Mike Williams' case serves as a sobering reminder of the complexities surrounding disappearances and the lengths some individuals will go to for financial gain. Cheryl Williams' unwavering dedication to finding the truth ultimately brought some measure of justice for her son. But the tragedy of Mike's death continues to resonate. The case not only highlights the depths of betrayal that can occur within relationships, but also underscores the importance of perseverance in the pursuit of justice. Cheryl's fight for answers is a testament to a mother's love and determination in the face of unimaginable loss. As we reflect on the Mike Williams case, we are reminded that behind the headlines and legal battles, real lives are affected. The quest for truth and justice is often long and arduous, but it is a journey worth undertaking, as it honors the memory of those we have lost.